Now, step onto that lovely little plane, which is built for nothing but comfort, for nothing but conversation, for nothing but relaxation. And lift off with nothing but the clothes on your back, or naked if you wish. Fly through the air and land. And step out and realize you are far, far away from where you took off, but it only took a moment to get there. Because in reality, that place was always right next door. And now that you have deflated your thoughts and let the air out of some of them, you find out that the only reason it seems so far away is because you had created so much space and time between you and it. When in fact, there's really no space and time between you and it at all. It's all right here, all right now. And the temperature and the atmosphere of where you have landed is absolutely ideal for you. And amazingly enough, ideal for every other passenger that arrives, even if that is different from yours. It is a marvelous, multidimensional place that adjusts itself to everything you enjoy, personally and automatically. And believe me, in the universe, even in the physical plane, there actually are such places that can accomplish this. Where no matter how many people go to a location, everything about the location adjusts itself automatically to every single individual, no matter how different it may be from the individual standing right next to them. So you are at one of these universal resorts that knows you exactly who you are, reads your vibration like a book, and exactly reflects the knowing part of yourself, the deserving part of yourself, the loving part of yourself, the creative part of yourself, and reminds you that these are actually not parts, but that these are states of being that are the whole of who you are when you choose to be. It reminds you of this constantly. It bathes you in a vibrational atmosphere of constant support of being totally who you are at every moment. Without worry, without thought, without control, without manipulation, without scheduling, without time. Everything unfolds perfectly, perfect timing. You find yourself interacting with whom exactly you need to interact with, when you need to interact with them. You find yourself winding up in exactly the room in the resort you need to be in, exactly when you need to be there, and staying for exactly how long you feel like staying. And as soon as you leave and go somewhere else and show up, everyone turns and says, "You're right on time." Let yourself understand that this place symbolizes and represents your true natural self, your instinctive self. The you that knows who you are without thinking about it. The you that absolutely knows who you are without thinking about it, without being told, without being judged, without being measured, but supported simply for the absolute knowledge that you have of knowing who you are. Breathe in the air and know that you are breathing in yourself. The atmosphere, the vibration that is you, the you know yourself to be. You know yourself to be. Without the fuss, without the muss, without the 1,000 little thoughts that you have agreed to allow yourself to nag yourself with about how you should be this and how you should be that. in order to be better, in order to be worthy, in order to be deserving, in order to be wanted, in order to be loved, in order to be taken seriously, in order to be thought of as having a place in existence. To earn your place in the world. Nonsense. Were that you didn't deserve it, believe me, believe me, believe me, you wouldn't exist. Do what you want to do because you love to do it. The expression of being yourself as fully as you can is the only coin you need. And it is what will allow abundance to come to you in whatever form it needs to, coin or otherwise, that represents the path of least resistance to being yourself. You are abundant because all that is the very essence of abundance itself. And if you think all that is would create you, and that there would not be enough for you, you have a very poor picture of all that is. And you are making poverty out of abundance by seeing all that is as that poor in its creation, that it could somehow create you and leave you out of the ability to be supported by its abundance. It has allowed you to experience that idea, but you are creating whatever poverty you create from your abundance. Even if it's an abundance of poverty, it's still abundance. You have everything in that sense already. All you have to do is allow yourself to be who you are, to see that, to know that clearly. Just be who you are. And the reflection from the universe will be clear. But do it without expectation of reflection, for then you are standing outside of your knowingness once again. Stay within your knowingness. Choose the state you wish to express, because you have no other choice, because that's who you are. Not because it will get you this, not because it will get you that, but because it's who you are. That declaration is all that's necessary for the universe to respond to you as fully. So you don't have to make it conditional. I'll be this if I get that. If I get that, I'll be this. When you make it conditional, the universe can only reflect conditional experiences to you. Make it unconditional. Make it unconditional. That you are willing to be who you are because that's who you are. There's no other choice. Make it unconditional. And if you make it unconditional, you will have the unconditional experience itself from all that is. Take a deep breath unconditionally and let it out unconditionally. Congratulations. What is the time frame remaining for this transmission?
15 minutes.
Within what you call your 15 minutes, which to me could be yesterday or tomorrow, or right now, and which to you can also be the same. Allow yourselves to ponder for a moment what it really means to feel unconditionalness, absolute lack of expectation, absolute lack of judgment, absolute lack of lack, unconditionalness. where you know, you know, you know, you know, you know, and nothing has the power to tell you that you don't know what you know, you know, you know. Relax into that understanding. Relax into that feeling. It is your birthright. It is who you are. It is who we are actually speaking to when we speak to you. You may think we're speaking to your personalities, and obviously we are including them. But the direct communication is from who we know we are to who we know you are. It is between our knowing selves. So in that you have co-created this interaction. Understand. Understand. Stand under this foundation. Support it. Understand that whatever symbol we represent to you in terms of our ability to know is just a reflection of what we see in you, or you would not be able to experience it from us. It's just that in these interactions, you are willing to allow us to reflect back to you who you actually are. You can do that anytime you wish. You don't need to be in these kinds of specific interactions in this specific way, because we are always having an interaction. Always. On some level or other. Key into that. Tap into that. And know it is just as real. On its own terms, in its own way, it is just as real. Don't make a difference where none needs to exist. You know we are always in touch. You know you are always connected to all that is. You know this. I know you know this. And we thank you for allowing us to remind you that you know this. And for reminding you that you always have the choice to know this or forget this. But to now simply remember that even when you choose to forget, you are still using your connection to forget that you have one. And now, if we had gambling on our planet, we would bet that you actually will never completely forget who you are again. And I think we will win that bet. Because the house always wins. And we all live in the same house. Now. We all live in the same house now. Welcome home. Take your break. All right, I'll say let us conclude this transmission with any clarifications and questions that you may have about any of the material that has already been delivered. Are there questions? All right. Organize yourselves into question mode.
Hello again, Bashar.
And you good day?
Bashar, earlier today you mentioned that you didn't have all the answers.
No.
Would you be kind enough to share with us one of the questions to which you have yet to have an answer?
If I don't really have the answer, I don't have a question.
Do you mean to say that you don't question anything?
We are always searching. But what I mean by what I have just said is, usually when you have a question, it automatically contains the answer. So to really not have the answer to something probably also means you haven't even thought of the question yet.
Therefore, in that case, what are you searching for?
Thank you. More of our relationship to all that is. We will give you, in what you call pragmatic terms, one example we have talked about recently that in your terms represents the idea of not having all the answers and having questions that seem unanswered. I will put it in your terminology. All right? All right. We have talked about, not too long ago, the idea of encountering another civilization, which translates into your language somewhat close to the sound Thuk. The name of the civilization, in other words, is Thuk. Although that is a translation into your language and not exactly what they call themselves or what we understand the name to be. Nevertheless, when we encountered this civilization, an amazing paradox and puzzle arise for us. And that is, we can interact with these beings, as you say, face to face, and carry on what might be considered by you to be a relatively normal interaction and conversation. But the moment we turn away from them, we forget who they are, what they look like, and everything that was said. Automatically. Until we turn back and see them again. This is the nature of their existence. They are quasi-dimensional in a sense, but of such a nature that only when engaging them directly are you in their frame of reference, and when you disconnect from it, their frame of reference is so different from ours, there is nothing from their frame of reference we can take with us into ours, and so nothing survives of the conversation. We were extremely excited to encounter these beings, for we had never encountered something like that before. And thus we are still exploring our relationship to them and what attracting them into our reality means about our own existence. So in that sense, yes, you could say there are things we don't know, questions that are unanswered in that context. Does that help?
In a sense, has the human race taught you anything?
Well, besides puns, you mean?
Yes. Have we raised your awareness in any way?
Yes, of course. First of all, understand that even physiologically we owe our existence to you. You are in many ways genetically our ancestors. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Therefore, you have given us life. Great, 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 great grandmother.
What about spiritual awareness?
The idea of spiritual awareness is that every single time you allow yourselves to interact with us and co-create these interactions with us, you open up for us a new understanding and a new perspective of another way that all that is has of expressing itself that we have never encountered before. So any interaction with you is a spiritual revelation to us in terms of a new perspective, a new point of view, a new expression that all that is has that we can then add to our overall understanding of all that is and our relationship to it and your relationship to it. So interacting with anyone, including humans on earth, is always an eye-opening and spiritual expansion for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does that help? Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
The planet Earth recently, I believe it was March, I may stand corrected on that, we experienced a tremendous, what we term catastrophe, in the form of a tsunami.
Yes.
And from what little reading that I've done on it, it had very far-ranging effects.
Yes.
Much to the liking of the planet has been oscillating for 20-minute cycles,
yes,
like a month after the event.
Yes.
And obviously it took a lot of lives.
Yes.
Did a lot of damage.
Yes.
What effects has that produced on our planet on a psychological level, on a spiritual level? What kind of, has it opened gates? What is this event all about?
All right, thank you. As we have discussed many times, the idea is that you will go through the transition on your planet in a number of ways, depending upon the different belief systems and levels of things that people on your planet believe are possible in order to experience such transitions. Many of you may know that transition is inevitable, but may not necessarily know how to experience it other than in a few certain kinds of ways, such as the idea of physical cataclysm and so forth, may be the only way some people have of translating the idea of that magnitude of transition in a way that makes sense to them. In other words, if it doesn't really actually have a physical impact on your planet, they will not necessarily think that things are changing in a powerful way. Also, many people have, in some senses, set up the kind of timing that they have for how long they will be physical on Earth. And they want to create, in certain ways, situations that will act as mechanisms to allow them to transition from physical to non-physical reality. And so they are recognizing that they are still willing to create the idea of certain methodologies that you might call catastrophes to take them out when the timing is right. Because they cannot necessarily imagine that they will know consciously how to do that on their own, and so they rely on the automatic mechanisms of the planet to do it for them. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Now, do also understand that, again, like anything, it can serve double duty. And it depends on the vibration of the person and why they are choosing to attract themselves to that experience in terms of what it is they will get out of it. Because certainly there can be people who are right in the midst of even something that seems to be a catastrophe who will be absolutely unaffected in a negative way. You follow me?
Yes.
Thus, then, what they get out of it will be, of course, what they put into it and the reasons for which they have created their presence in that area, which could be as simple as being around to help. But again, everyone will have their own story as to how they relate to that particular event. However, understand, as we have said, that it does, in fact, serve double duty in many different ways. And one of the most powerful things it has actually done is that it affected the economy of all of the countries that it hit, but not necessarily in a negative sense. That particular tsunami dredged up from the bottom of the ocean floor vast deposits of titanium and deposited it on the shores of all the countries that it hit. It left so much titanium on the shore that it has actually boosted the economy of every single country it has hit for years to come. You understand?
Yeah, that's good.
Therefore, you can always understand that there are many, many, many different kinds of effects that any event creates, and it's really going to be up to the vibration of the people and why they would attract themselves for the reasons of their own personal stories and how they experience that event. Does that make sense?
It does. One of the reasons I asked that question is the fact that with the events like this, as time unfolds,
yes,
it seems as though the response to an event like that is becoming more planetary.
Yes.
As opposed to more of an, it's just an isolated event that happened in Africa that, okay, we'll let them deal with it. But
you have squarely illuminated another opportunity, because your planet is changing sociologically in many different ways, becoming more global. And one of the most profound things you have seen is an opportunity for a transition of many social institutions and military institutions on your planet, and specifically military institutions, because military institutions were used as rescue efforts and help, in that sense, relief efforts for those kinds of catastrophes, giving them an understanding that there are other ways in which the military can use what it is they have learned without it being warfare. In the fact, in the future, all of the discipline that has gone into your military will actually shift over to the idea of such rescue events. Do you follow me?
Yeah, very much so.
So yes, you are using these things also to retrain yourselves. Yes.
That's great. And one last quick question. This has been a very awesome weekend.
Awesome.
And,
all right.
And I appreciate your presence here.
Well, I am not there, but thank you for the sentiment.
Yeah, right. Do you have any tips as to tips, ideas, suggestions as to how, in this coming week or so, how we can best integrate this material besides leading our normal lives and doing what excites us, how we can best let this sink in?
So besides everything I've already said.
Yeah, besides all that. Exactly, yeah.
I see. All right. One moment. Do you have a favorite location on the planet that you haven't been to in a long time or have never been to but always wanted to go to?
That's funny you asked that because...
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it must be since they're all laughing.
Because... man.
Why is it funny that I ask that?
Well, because I'm going to be there tonight.
Which would be where?
I'm going to be somewhere in the middle of New Mexico tonight.
I see.
I'm in transition right now, and that's where I projected myself to be.
Yes.
Probably in between whatever the area in between Phoenix and Sedona.
All right.
I'm very, very, I guess Phoenix and Sedona, that's a pretty big gap there, but I've always been wildly attracted to New Mexico.
Wildly attracted?
Yeah, just something about New Mexico.
To your Southwest in general?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Or to your Arizona or New Mexico state, doesn't matter?
New Mexico particularly.
All right. And you're going to Arizona first?
Well, what the transition is, I'm driving from Los Angeles.
Yes.
And my destination for Wednesday is Charlotte, North Carolina, because I'm relocating from California back to the East Coast.
Oh, all right.
So tonight is the first leg of the travel. I'm hoping to get into New Mexico after this event. And New Mexico is a state that there's just something about it.
All right. Something about it. How much time will you spend in that state?
Well, you had mentioned that you were going to be able to visit me in a dream state tonight.
Yes.
and share
Yes.
your excitement. So unfortunately, it's going to be a quick visit because...
Quality, not quantity.
There you go. I really don't have any plans to...
Very good.
...stick around there long.
Don't have any plans. End the sentence there. I really don't have any plans. That is the biggest tip I can give you. Follow your dream. Follow where you are lured to. Be magnetized and attracted to an area on your planet that you feel you are in resonance with, and then don't have any plans. And see what happens. All right?
Sounds good.
That's the biggest tip I can give you. All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice trip.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'd like to ask you, with regard to, we've been talking a lot about earth changes and
Yes.
the way that our civilization is eventually going to be changing. And I'd like to know if you can comment about the fate of some of the very large cities in this country, especially Los Angeles.
The fate.
Yes. What I have in mind is
Yes.
a couple of things.
You have some fate in mind for them?
No, I don't think it's my idea, but
Really? Are you sure? You're the one saying it.
Well, okay. Yes. Okay. There
Are
is
you
something.
catching my drift?
Well, let me just try to clarify this a little bit.
Oh, all right. I'll let you.
The I Am America, I believe it's the I Am America maps,
Yes.
which probably a lot of people are familiar with, show this area eventually, and I'm not sure of the time frame they have in mind, but show this area as a series of islands.
Yes, I
at
know.
some time,
I know what you are referring to.
And
What reality are you going to choose to vibrate to?
well, that's another issue.
No, it's not. That was my earlier point. You bringing this up means you are resonating to an idea here, and I am calling your attention to the fact that you're resonating to an idea here you may actually prefer not to resonate to, so that you don't attract yourself to a reality experience you don't prefer.
Well,
What version of Earth do you wish to resonate to?
All right, well, getting back to actually what is the more important part of this, which it does have to do with my perception.
Yes.
I've had a lot of mystical experiences, you might say, and in one of them, when I'm shown pictures of
Yes.
wonderful pictures of
Yes.
what our civilization can look like.
Yes.
Which is really, really beautiful, abundant, balanced, and all of that.
And?
In that picture,
Yes.
when I have kind of asked, well, if it's not a picture that includes cities such as ours where there is very little greenery, there is no ability to
Yes.
self-sustain, really,
Yes.
and so forth. It's just, they're kind of like either not there, or there seems to be a suggestion that they still do exist, but that there is a different type of society inhabiting those cities where they're still kind of buying into that pattern and not
Yes.
having a very happy time of it.
Yes.
And I've been puzzled about this. Is it that they don't exist anymore, or that we've had this sort of separation where we can be drawn into a reality that
Your
we find?
confusion is because you're actually looking at a transitional reality. In other words, the idea of a reality transitioning from one to another is itself a reality. And you are standing squarely in between two ideas and experiencing that reality of transition itself, and that's where the confusion is coming from. Eventually, we perceive that your reality on Earth will be somewhat closer to our reality on my world, where it is mostly green, and there are not large built-up cities. Not because they have been destroyed, but because in that sense, they have been deconstructed.
Yes, that's what I would say. That was the suggestion, that they had been deconstructed.
Yes. And this eventually will occur, not in your present lifetime. The idea of the scenario that you are picking up, to get to that point on Earth, you are looking at about 2,000 years down the road.
Wow.
Do you follow?
Yeah, I was hoping it was sooner, but, you know.
The beginnings of it are right now, but the final vision of that idea is about 2,000 of your years down the road. Do you follow that?
Yeah. Thank you, because I have wondered about the time frame of what I was shown.
Yes. Now, the other thing to understand is that about 1,000 years down the road, humans will be making a decision. And that decision will primarily be this, that they will probably not occupy the Earth so much, and certainly will probably not incarnate on it so much anymore. They will allow another race to begin to occupy what is going on the Earth, and let them decide what kind of habitations they require. And that's what you're picking up on, the idea being that the ones that might still be involved in some of the remaining structures may not necessarily be even of your society. They may be on their own path, using Earth for their own lessons and their own experiences, now that humans, in a sense, have moved up a notch. Many humans in spirit will remain connected to the Earth to act as guides for the new civilization that will birth itself upon the Earth for their own experience, the beginning of their own journey. You follow?
Yes, but this very balanced, green, and abundant society where there's communication between species and,
Yes.
and all of this, is this...
This will begin shortly.
But is it Earth, or is it another version of Earth?
Well, what's the difference?
Well, in other
You're
words...
in another version of Earth right now.
Okay,
You're in
but-
another version of Earth right now. You're in another version of Earth right now. You're in another version of Earth right now. You're in another version of Earth right now.
Okay.
So, of course, it's another version of Earth.
But you threw me a second ago when you mentioned about something that would, a decision 1,000 years down the line.
Yes.
Is it the decision to create this very wonderful place, which, I mean, even the idea of self-sustaining communities now and all of that is the beginning of this creation now that we see here. But is it going to be able to flourish?
Yes.
Completely?
Yes.
But then in 1,000 years we're going to be willing to give that up?
Because it will no longer serve you. You will be cleaning the place up for someone else to come in.
Well, the beings that I've seen inhabiting it they look they look a lot like us, but they're taller, thinner,
yes. It's not the same species, exactly, no.
Oh, really?
No. Really. It's not the same species.
So it's not that we have just changed our evolutionary genetic pattern, it's a different species.
Yes.
And some of them are us and others are not, or what?
Well, in a sense, yes, of course, because some of you may decide that incarnationally you wish to partake of their journey, and so you will become them. But some of you will not. Many of you will not. Many of you will move on to other places, other levels, other dimensions.
But will it be, in a sense, a kind of gift to them that
yes.
we are giving them a really wonderful, beautiful place?
Yes. You're cleaning up your house so the next tenant will have a nice place to move into. But the beginning of this will occur in your lifetime in the sense that as we read the energy now, somewhere between your year of 2025 and 2033, there will begin open contact between humans on Earth and what you call us, extraterrestrials. And it will be the beginning of a relationship where Earth begins to join in what is called the Interstellar Alliance. And in that sense will also then gain new understanding of its relationship to the Earth, new understanding of its relationship to its cosmic family, new understanding in that sense of all the things it can do to assist other races also coming up the ladder, so to speak, in their evolutionary journey. You will be in that sense taking on new tasks. You will see your position in a new way, taking on new responsibilities you have heretofore not even dreamed of doing. And so by that year, as you call it, 3000, you will be basically getting your house in order to move on to a whole other new level. And therefore, another 1,000 years after that, what you are seeing as the idea of the deconstructed Earth will really be the first 1,000 years of the new society that is going to, in that sense, use Earth as its starting point for another journey. You follow me?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Oh, terrifically. Thank you.
All right.
Could I ask one question, which I wish...
Well, that was a question, so I guess you can.
I'm confused between the Buddhist and the Hindu and the Christian concept of what the soul is.
Yes.
The Hindus believe that as we evolve, we never lose that we are all a part of God with its own innate individual existence that we never lose, that we maintain a point of spiritual integrity and individuality throughout our infinite journey.
Yes.
The Buddhists, on the other hand, believe that that individuality and the individual soul is basically an illusion.
Yes.
And that there is no such thing.
Yes.
Is the drop going into the ocean, does it remain a drop as it participates in the ocean, or does it simply disperse?
Do you remember when we talked about the idea of this and that as opposed to this or that?
Yes.
Then what does that mean?
So it is what the Hindus say is the non-difference difference.
And?
And what?
Not or, and... And it's also what the Buddhists say, and it's also what the Christians say, and it's also what the Jews say, and it's also what the Muslims say, and it's all true depending upon the level from which you are perceiving it. So they're just perceiving the same thing from different perspectives in different ways and symbolizing them from those perspectives. They're all true from their perspective, and that means they're all true because everything within God that you can imagine is somewhere real.
Is there anything that's any more real than what's real? Any ultimate reality to this question?
No. The only ultimate reality to that issue is that it's all true. That's the ultimate reality. It's all real. It's all true. And it's all an illusion. But that's what reality is. Understand this. You are not capable of imagining non-existence. Go ahead, give it a shot. Did you do it?
No.
Why not?
Well, as you say, you can't.
Because you can't experience non-existence, can you? No. Therefore, anything you actually can imagine exists in some level of existence, is real somewhere, somewhen, somehow within existence. Otherwise, you couldn't imagine it. So that which you can imagine is real. It just depends on the perspective in existence from which you are looking. But it's no less real and no more real than any other perspective. That's what existence is, perspectives. That's why all truths are true. That's the ultimate truth. All truths are true. That's the paradox. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, thank you. It's really wonderful to have that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, you don't have to take my word for it.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Two thoughts, please. Earlier, you've alluded to the spirit guides, masters, etc.
Yes.
And those of us that are on the quote-unquote spiritual path,
yes.
At times we get, or at least my feeling is, and if I get some clarification on this.
Yes.
Sometimes, you talked about our choices of hallways.
Yes.
Sometimes you go down this hallway.
Yes.
And I got the picture of the Matrix where you got all these doors.
Yes.
You can choose from along the doorway.
Yes.
Now, the spiritual guides, teachers, gurus, adepts, angelics, etc., 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 there seem to be so many that are there to help us on some level. My question on this is, as the room seems to get narrower and narrower at times, the more spiritual, quote-unquote, that you get, is that a function of our, on some level, the agreements we had and or the creations that we agreed to bring here, or is that also part of the agreements we had with our guides, spirit helpers, etc., that are keeping us, boom, oh, you're getting out of line, boom.
It can be either or both. It depends on how you set this up for yourself.
Okay.
So there's no hard and fast rule in that sense.
Okay. Yeah, I guess my curiosity was in what is the role of the spirit guides helpers as far as how they come in, how they help, and I guess it's sometimes very difficult for me, at least from my perspective, to find out why do I keep going down this narrow path, and your foot goes outside, oops, boom, back in, and it seems to be.
Well, what are you defining as the narrow path?
I guess one of the definitions would be, for example, and this was alluded to before, is on the material wealth side of the equation.
Yes.
And at some point in time, and this is one of the struggles I've had with the spirituality, is hard boom at one point in time. There was a certain circumstance of events that led me on a spiritual path.
Yes.
And reckoning that and the balance between that and also the material side of the equation.
All right, but stop there.
Yeah.
The fact that you are making it two sides of an equation is what's causing you difficulty. What is unspiritual about the idea of material wealth?
There's nothing unspiritual about it.
Well, then why is there a differentiation between the idea of material wealth experience and walking a spiritual path experience? Why does those ideas seem to be placed in two separate terminologies instead of all being part and parcel of one experience?
Right. No, I understand.
Yes.
Which leads me to my next question, my final question, was to integrate that, because between my ears, I understand that.
Between your ears,
between
all right.
my ears. And
but not in your very...
In the heart. There's a heart chakra.
Right.
For me, it's about, as you've explained, the experiential.
Yes.
That makes it real.
Yes.
So learning it, reading it, digesting it is one thing, but also to actually live it makes it more real, at least for me.
Of course.
And so
draw upon whatever aspects of your life already do give you that sensation in your heart, and understand that you can relate that sensation to other areas of your life as you wish to.
Now, if there's a chakra, blockage in the heart chakra, is that a reality as far as...
It's a definition.
Okay. So it is a definition.
There are no blockages except as you define them.
As we define them. Thank you. Okay.
So find the definition that makes you think there's a blockage.
And I thought there was a blockage there for both sides of the equation, the material versus the spiritual.
Yes. Let me put it this way. What you all often refer to as a blockage really might better serve you to be labeled as process. In other words, there is something there you need to get in touch with. Mm-hmm. That's what you're aware of. It's not really a blockage. But what it is, in a sense, is a part of your consciousness saying, look at this. You need to look at this. There's something here you need to look at if you really want to incorporate and integrate this idea into yourself to become more holistic. Then look at this. Look at this. Mm-hmm. Look at this. So what you experience as a blockage is more of the idea of focus that your consciousness, your overall consciousness, is doing to your personality and saying, no, don't look there, look here. No, don't look there, look here. This is where you need to focus. But you might interpret that as a blockage because you don't seem to be able to get past it because the physical personality thinks it's supposed to be able to get past it. Mm-hmm. But what the overall consciousness is saying, no. You can't get past it till you look at it. But that's not a blockage. It's the idea of being told with loud ringing alarm bells, there's something here you need to look at. You have a belief and a definition about the idea of yourself relative to this area that you need to look at and process. Okay. That's all a blockage is. It's trying to get your attention that there's something there you need to look at. It's not really a blockage. Mm-hmm. It's actually telling you that if you look at this and integrate it, it's actually the path of least resistance and the quickest way to become who you prefer to be. Mm-hmm. Trying to go around it is actually the longest way. Mm-hmm. Going through it is the quickest way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It really
watch
does.
your definitions. Don't make separations where it doesn't serve you to do so. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Does this help?
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I heard about your copper ball experiment,
yes,
where you measure the resonance of a copper ball in one location and another, and then blast it with the subtracted difference to get the conductive ball to roll around.
Yes.
I was wondering if it would be possible to, instead of measuring these subtle frequencies, to simply pick a frequency range and blast the ball with that frequency and experiment with different linear frequencies, or just like a linear sweep and a combination sweep, to see if we could get it to roll around without actually measuring it in the first place.
Sure.
So if you change just one frequency of the locational variable, does that automatically result in a total change of the location, or are the different subcomponents of the locational variable kind of connected together?
There are subcomponents, which is why in your case the ball would roll around as opposed to simply disappearing at point A and reappearing at point B.
Okay, so...
Your technology is not precise enough yet.
Precise enough to blast it or precise enough to measure it?
It's not precise enough to get it to disappear from point A and appear at point B.
So not, okay.
So the effect would be that it would simply roll from point A to point B and stop.
Okay, so do we have, so the frequency that we blast the object with, does it have to be close enough to one of the constituent frequencies that the object already has, or can it literally be any frequency, say below 400 cycles per second?
No. You are making the object resonate and measuring that frequency in one location and then moving it to the second location, making the object resonate and measuring that frequency and then measuring the difference between them.
Right, but because our equipment isn't sensitive enough to measure the like those types of vibrations yet, or you're unsure if
No, it is. It is. That's why we gave you the experiment.
Okay,
You just have to use sophisticated equipment.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to share an observation that I made about frequency harmonics.
Yes.
So if you take this value of 3.69303 megahertz, so synchronistic numbers, and you repeatedly step it down with golden ratio increments using divisions, then we encounter a lot of important frequencies, for example, 333 kilohertz, and also the heart and the root solfeggio frequencies, 639 and 396 cycles per second. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about this harmonic and potential applications of it.
Nope.
Okay, then I'll ask more.
Not our job at the moment.
Okay. So you wouldn't be able to tell me if this highest frequency is the necessary frequency for the outermost shell of the Essassani free energy device?
We are no longer allowed to comment on the information we have given about the free energy devices at this time.
Okay, thank you for establishing that. I was wondering, at this point, how far above Bell Rock is your ship?
700 feet.
Still 700. Okay,
Yes.
Wonderful.
You are clapping as if you could reach up and touch us.
Okay, so from a linear standpoint, I was wondering what % of the people in this room have what would seem to be a future incarnation as a member of the Essassani?
39%.
39%. Wow. Am I one of the 39%?
Since you asked, yes.
Wonderful. So,
it doesn't mean that you're in my contemporary time frame.
okay, so different timeline, but same civilization.
Yes.
Okay.
In
so,
which the counterpart is, in fact, a technician.
a technician. Wonderful. Yeah, that would make sense. I was
Maybe you can ask him the questions that you're asking.
I would love that opportunity, yes. I was wondering, I know you said that this will decrease my frequency, but just so I know, I was wondering if you could give me a frequency reading as well.
I know you said this will hurt, but I was just wondering.
I can take the pain.
139,000 cycles per second.
All right.
It was 143,000.
Okay. All right.
Say ouch.
All right. That will be all for now for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you very much.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you for everything. And thank you to all of the questioners for their wonderful questions. Asked so many things I wanted to know. And thank you, a special thanks to the first questioner of today, just wherever you are. Thank you. Hi. I feel that I'm not one of the 39%.
No, you are connected to a different form of hybrid.
Can you say more?
You are connected more to the Yael.
Oh, okay. Okay, I wanted to talk about frequency, but in less technical terms.
All right.
But that was great and fascinating, although some of it went over my head. So when you're speaking about our frequency, in your terms, frequency is literally our very conventional science idea of cycles per second or hertz.
Yes, but we're incorporating more than your scientists know about when we give you the answer to those frequency questions.
Okay.
Your scientists haven't arrived at that yet.
Okay.
It's still cycles per second.
Okay. Is this the same thing as the vibration that so many spiritual teachers say it is our job to raise? I mean, that is if we prefer to take the next step in evolution and ascension. Is it the same thing?
You have, all of you, a core frequency in physical reality that exists on the threshold between physical and non-physical reality of 333,000 cycles per second as we measure these things. The idea is the degree of difference between that frequency and the frequency you are as a physical being based on all of the belief systems within you and how they may impede you from being that higher frequency.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about that threshold. How then is it that some beings who are in spirit, who are of a negative polarity, or to put it in terms of law of one, are in service to self, are at a higher frequency? I'm assuming, I'm extrapolating this from the fact that they are in spirit.
Yes.
Than those of us incarnate on earth who are focusing on love and choosing the service to others, right?
Yes, that's a very good question. The answer is the lower astral realm, the first stage of non-physical reality, has a component in it that is very strongly connected still to the earth cycle vibration. And thus a spirit can decide or can simply find themselves, based on the belief systems they brought over into non-physical reality, still at frequencies where they can express certain ideas of negative experience. It's like starting over again on a different scale.
Oh.
Do you understand? So in the lower astral, above 333,000 cycles per second, transitioning into the lower astral, in a sense, though this is not accurate, but in a sense, it's sort of like you're starting at zero again.
Okay.
So you can have lower astral vibrations that can be expressed negatively.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes. Okay, and so maybe I'm mistakenly equating frequency with mood, but...
Oh, yes.
Yes, I am mistaking that?
Yes.
Okay.
It can be associated, but that's not always the case.
Okay.
You can be very happy at 150,000 cycles per second. You can also be very miserable at 149,000 cycles per second. It depends on the mix of the belief systems.
It's really based on beliefs rather than how you're feeling?
Feelings are generated by beliefs.
Right.
So yes, it's based on your belief system.
Okay.
Because you can think you feel pretty good, and you can actually be disguising what you really believe.
And you can think you feel pretty bad, but have
Yes.
really helpful beliefs.
Yes. Except for the one that allows you to think that somehow you're not worthy to experience those positive beliefs.
Right. Okay.
One can overwhelm the others depending on what the belief is. So it can be a small fraction of your overall frequency, but it can have very profound effects on the rest of your belief systems depending on what that belief is.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to go...
Does that help?
Yes, but I think I'm going to have to listen to it back because I'm kind of also thinking about the questions I want to ask. And
all right, you may listen to it back, but I would recommend that you listen to it forward.
Yeah, that'll be helpful too.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go for it. The frequency question, mine. I just felt it go down. Oh, wait. It's not based on feeling.
Would you like it to go back up?
Yes.
Think of something you love very much, or someone. Do you have it?
Yes.
167,000 cycles per second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.
Oh, I'm finished?
Do you have another question?
I do.
Let's see if you're finished.
Okay. So one of the previous questioners said they felt like in last night's meditation, we all went through a portal. Did we all go through that portal? Because I think, I'm asking this based on my experience of it, and I was very tired, and there were some others that
Let me put it to you this way. If you didn't go through the portal in your own way, you wouldn't be here asking questions today.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you all went through it, but you went through it in your own way.
Sure.
Now you're finished.
Thank you.
And to you, good day.
こんにちは。
こんにちは。お元気ですか?
元気ですよ。Today I feel very honored to communicate with you in this way, and I've got one statement and one question.
Yes.
I will begin with my statement.
All right.
Yesterday in the morning, my Japanese friends and I visited Bell Rock and meditated for a while, and then I heard you saying the best contribution you can make is to this universe is to be your true self.
Yes.
After that, when I arrived at this venue and checked in, I was surprised to find out that I chose a new reality in which I had won the raffle. So following your kind advice, now I try to be honest as much as possible in front of my lovely people sharing this beautiful moment.
All right, thank you.
Since I was little, I really didn't like wars or conflicts. My little heart was broken every time I heard news about wars all over the world.
Yes.
In particular, when my parents took me to the Atomic Bomb Museum in Hiroshima, I was horrified by the tragedy. I was sad to see that we human beings hurt each other without love and mercy. Later on, I learned that Imperial Japan also conducted many wrongdoings in particular in Asia. I wanted more peace and harmony on this planet, and so I decided to study more about wars to prevent them. Eventually, I went to the UK and got a PhD in international relations. But even when I published my articles, I couldn't bring about peace and harmony. In the end, I found out that academia is not the right place for me to change the world. 2 years ago, my mom transitioned to the different dimension. Thanks to that painful heartbreak, I met you. You told me that in order to bring about peace and harmony on this planet, I've got to be of those vibrations first. That was a sea change in my life. I left academia. I started to forgive myself. I started to love myself first before thinking of wars. And I started to forgive and love others. I started to have more relaxing time in nature. I started to enjoy the starry sky while thinking of you. I started to communicate with animals. I started to swim with dolphins. I started to grow organic rice and vegetables. I started to teach children at a free school to teach them, You are perfect as you are. Their beautiful smiles taught me that I'm perfect. Sorry, I'm perfect as well. My new life was full of excitement, and one day I felt excited about this event in Sedona. So my Japanese friends and I came here. On Friday, our group and another group of Japanese people were invited by a Hopi person. So we visited his village. His name is Reuben. He took us to a sacred place in Hopi. There were so many pictographs on the wall. He said, during the World War II, from our sacred land, uranium was taken and that was used to make atomic bombs. They were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I'm sad that our land of peace was used for the war. He also said we needed to prevent another nuclear war. In order to achieve peace and harmony on this planet, first we needed to forgive ourselves. We needed to love ourselves. After that, we had dinner at Reuben's place. When I randomly talked with Japanese guys sitting next to me, he told me that they are also big fans of you, and they are here today. And they told me that while following their highest excitement, beautiful synchronicities led them to start a project on free energy in Japan.
Yes.
Their excitement united people. Although it is still at the beginning stage, an artist of geometry, he is here today, a politician, and scientists are coming together to share their ideas on free energy by referring to the blueprint of it, which you made public before.
Yes.
Now I'm very happy that I chose a reality in which free energy is getting real. Now I feel more peace and harmony on this planet. Now I feel that we are empowered and connected to the source. There are so many beautiful souls here today. We are deeply connected to the universe, this beautiful planet, and more importantly, to ourselves.
Yes.
I can't express how grateful I am that you kindly co-created this wonderful miracle with us.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Thank you. Now my childhood dream is coming true.
We thank you for following your path.
Thank you so much. You are a star and I love you.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
This is the end of my statement.
Thank you.
Any comments for them?
And did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, but different topic. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay, sure. So there is a book. This is a book titled Right Use of Will. And once you said this book was written by channeling all that is. Now I am translating this beautiful book into Japanese. For me, the most amazing chapter was the history of Pangea, or Pan. But I noticed that you haven't talked about Pangea that much in comparison to Lemuria or Atlantis. Do you have any plan to share more information about Pangea in future?
Pangea.
Okay, sorry, Pangea. Yeah, okay.
All we can say at this point, because it's a little premature, is that there have been other civilizations on your planet you know nothing about.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay. So yesterday you were talking about true history. Do you think the history of Pangea is going to be revealed in
Yes.
Is that quite soon?
In open contact at some point over the course of the next several years, once open contact is established, you will be given information about the entire history of the Earth.
That's amazing.
Now, we understand that we keep saying you change your past along with your present, and this is true. So the history that you will be given will be representative of the state you are in at that time. And it will be reflective of you having decided that open contact is something you truly prefer.
Okay, I see. Then I will keep on following my passion for peace. And
All right. And do remember once again, you never change the earth you're on. You shift to another earth constantly that is more reflective of the changes you make within yourself.
thank you.
So keep making the changes you prefer. And we thank you.
Thank you very much. I love you.
Our unconditional love to you
See you
as well.
later.
Well, oh my goodness. Avail Bashar, I love
Good day,
you.
good day.
I love you.
Speak up, speak up.
I love you. I love you.
Thank you.
and I
Our
love
love to
you.
you as well.
Thank you. It was just so exciting seeing all your highest excitement coming in, and this was sold out. Thank you for the 3 A's. I appreciate, acknowledge, and allow.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
And-
it's acknowledge, appreciate, and allow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I acknowledge that.
I appreciate that. And I will allow you to continue.
Thank you. I don't know if it's just me or our government has recently acknowledged, and it still feels like a hoax to me, that there really are UFOs.
Yes.
And it's just so exciting to hear. I met somebody that had only found out about you 4 months ago, and she was so excited, and she's like, I'm telling everybody that I meet. And I was like, wow, that's how we affect change. And
Yes.
teaching people about the tools in the toolbox, I'm so grateful for that.
Yes.
So, questions I have, are there beings and spaceships over Cathedral Rock in Sedona?
Yes.
Who are they?
No comment.
No comment. Are there a lot of them?
There are a few, and they come and go.
Okay.
There's a lot of traffic around your planet. You just don't see it all.
Okay. You once said there are people on the earth who are 200, 400, and even 1,000 years old.
Yes, they are few and far between, but they exist.
And what kind of things would we notice or sensations would we get if we were around these ancient beings?
Astonishment.
That was a question for someone else. Okay.
Yes. Because you would sense that there is a depth to them that is rare on your planet. A calmness, a centeredness, an indestructibility about them. Something of another reality about them.
And do you have any messages for me?
From whom?
From you?
From us?
From you or the hybrid children or?
Anyone at all?
Anything, anyone.
Are you acting on your passion every moment that you can be?
Yes, that's why I'm here.
All right.
Okay, and then
Then what do you think you're missing?
I don't think I'm missing anything.
Then why did you ask if I had messages for you?
Because I'm one of those silly people that it's like, what question should I ask Bashar other than I'm so grateful. I'm just so truly, deeply grateful
All right.
for you.
Then I would suggest that the message we send you is that you stay in that exact state of appreciation and gratitude, not because of us, but because of your connection to Source.
Thank you, Bashar. Thank you. Aveo.
Avail.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
What a pleasure to be here and be with everybody here. I just want to comment how heart-centered I feel and how privileged and honored. And I just got nominated to ask that question, so I'm thrilled and I thank you. This is actually from a friend of mine, and it's a question that I've also been
All right, speak
questioning.
up, speak up.
There are many people that are having contact interactions with a species called the plagiarians. And there's a gentleman that wrote multiple books called the Plagiarian Diaries. And he's having interactions with these beings, physical interactions. And I was wondering if you could comment on that.
I am not allowed to. There are many species that are having contact with people on your planet that it is simply not within our allowance to discuss at this time. It's premature. Others will give you the information that you need.
Okay, he's having interactions with a being that he calls Samyaza.
As I said right now, we are not allowed to talk about some of these other interactions.
All right, thank you. Well, then I'm going to ask you a personal question. I was in Mount Shasta about 3 weeks ago, and we were doing a Rama contact retreat, which was amazing. And we went into a meditation, and I went into the mountain and was confronted with 3 doors, and I chose the door of purity. When I walked in that door, I was inside this black ship, and there was nothing. There was just darkness. It was a ship that was very square and rectangular, and I could see the universe from within the ship. The hull was translucent in that sense, but there was nobody in the ship.
That you could tell.
That I could tell, correct. And I was wondering why I was so empty and I felt so alone. I was the only one in the ship.
But you weren't. If you had shifted your vibration a little bit, you would have realized that it was fully populated. So it was an opportunity for you to sense, at first, the empty space that you create for yourself, in which you can change your frequency, change your vibration, and to give you practice at shifting your vibration even just a little bit to realize how close other realities and other dimensions actually are to your frequency.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
The next night, we had a similar meditation, and this one I chose the door of healing after some meditation that we did. And this time I went into a ship that was rounded, very light, with beings that were there, and I couldn't tell if they were hybrids. They were small, children-like, and I was sitting in this recliner, and they were working on me. They had these devices that they were... the night before, I had what's called cesium crystal activation in my heart, and they were working on that crystal, and they were calibrating it.
Yes.
And for me to have discernment in my life on what resonates with me and what doesn't. And I'm curious who these beings were.
Well, you just said who they were. They were hybrids.
Okay.
And so you're experiencing a memory of an encounter that you had.
Wow. Great. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
Yes.
All right.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to learn maybe a couple small details. I found a way to learn about culture through food, assuming you still eat in your quasi... No?
No.
How about when you did? Do you remember food?
We ate different kinds of things that are akin to your vegetables, and ultimately we synthesized through our direct consciousness as a species one particular form of vegetable, very similar in appearance to your lima bean, that sustained every single thing we needed, and then after that point we no longer needed it. Thus then we receive energy directly at this point. We no longer ingest.
Oh, darn it, I wanted a recipe, but thank you for your time, Bashar.
A recipe for what?
For some food from your civilization.
Well, I can give you something from the past.
Okay, yeah.
When we did eat.
Oh, excellent.
You understand?
Yes, give me a recipe.
All right. You will find, well, of course, we have to use what are similar analogies on your planet, for they are not identical to the substances on ours. though there are some similarities, all right?
Yes.
All right. You will find that if you take the idea of what you call celery, yes?
Yes.
All right. If you will infuse these stalks of celery with the idea of the juice from what you call the beet, you will find thus then, by adding also a small amount of the juice of the orange and allowing this to steep for several hours, you will have a very interesting delicacy.
I will definitely try that out very shortly.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Only on joy.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was wondering, how do you change or shift your belief system to tune into the channel you wish to experience?
Do you mean physiologically? It is simply an intentional thing.
To change your belief system, how do you find negative belief systems that you have that are preventing you from...
You use your emotions. In other words, if you are feeling a certain idea called fear, self-doubt, sorrow, sadness, these ideas, if you do not prefer them, the first paradoxical thing, of course, is not to ignore them, not to suppress them, but to feel them fully, to own them, because you cannot change what you do not own. The idea, thus, is to this recognize that these things are there, acknowledge them, own them, and thus ask, what would I have to believe? This is the question. What would I have to believe is true about my relationship to this situation in order to feel this way, in order to react like this? As soon as you sit quietly, having asked that question, you will begin to see that your higher mind, your higher self will help you, if you're willing, if you're not afraid, again, if you're willing to dive deep down and find what the beliefs are that are generating that experience, that emotional experience. So you can use your emotions to find those definitions. Secondly, as soon as you identify the definition, it is gone. Because any belief, any definition you actually consciously identify that is out of alignment with your true self, when you identify it, will automatically appear illogical and nonsensical. It won't make sense. That's how you know it's out of alignment with your true self. So as soon as you identify what the belief is that's out of alignment, it will automatically appear illogical to hold on to it, and in that second, you will no longer have it. So identification is release. You understand?
Yes.
Does this help you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace and love, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I just wanted to say I was born on August 7th, and I had 7 in my sphere of consciousness recently, which led me to explore the 7 cosmic rays, and which led me to the violet flame, and I was hoping you could just give a few words on that.
It is simply a recognition of a very high frequency domain. The idea of your own spiritual connections to rarefied frequencies. You have some very strong relationships that you have formed with certain kinds of frequency dimensional domains that you are exploring throughout this life. The violet flame simply represents one of the ones that you are very familiar with from a non-physical level, as a spirit. Is this making sense in your language?
Yes. Can I strengthen that connection?
Of course. Guess how?
Meditation? Or?
Guess again.
Can you help me?
Thank you. Joy, excitement. Follow your joy. Act on your joy. Yes, meditation can assist you, but what is meditation? A permission slip. If it excites you to meditate, then you are acting on your joy. You follow? That's all you have to do. It's all you have to do is act on your highest joy. Everything else will fall into place in terms of the things you set up for yourself in this life to experience. You made, in a sense, let's say, appointments in this life to experience certain things. You will experience them if you just keep moving forward as yourself. Paradoxically, in a sense, the only way you can miss an appointment is to spend time worrying that you will miss the appointment. Otherwise, you can't miss the appointment. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Does that help you?
Always.
Thank you.
Blessings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm here through my highest joy.
All right.
Traveling in the unknown. I'd like to say blessings to everybody else for being here as well, just sharing this experience. My question is, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and me and my wife are aware of the changes that are happening, aware of alien beings,
yes.
And I just wonder how we translate that across to a child who is being taught academically in a world that I believe is changing and doesn't really fit into what she's being taught.
As the parents, you cannot find within your imagination a way to transmit this information to your child.
So in a sense, I suppose what I'm trying to say is to be ready for the questions that are going to come from my child.
Yes.
To the things that are going to be happening. And for
yes,
her.
And understand that in many cases your child may know more than you do.
Yeah.
Remember, the children being born on your planet at this time are not just a new generation. They are a different species. They remember more than you did. The idea thus then is to simply be in the proper state to address the things that they will question you about that are representative of these things, and to provide an environment, an interactive environment that allows them to explore what excites them in the manner that excites them. It's not that they can't learn all the different things that they may need to learn on Earth, but the idea is to provide them with an environment that allows them to explore these things in a manner that's representative of what excites them, so they will have the appropriate context in which to relate to it to themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Interactivity, the idea of simply presenting to them different options, letting them work out the consequences of the ideas that you present to them will be one of the strongest things you can do for your children. Not telling them what the consequences will be, asking them if they understand what the consequences of this action are, what the consequences of this decision might be. Let them explore their ability to determine consequences from choices, and you will give them the tools they need to live life to the fullest. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does that help you?
Yes, thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. Also, remember, there is a reason that storytelling is so strong and so lasting. Many of your people talk about the idea that there are archetypes within stories, but many of you don't realize that story structure is an archetype within your consciousness, and that the most lasting information is delivered in the version of a story. That's why it lasts, because it's part of your psyche. That structure, that story structure, is part of your natural psyche. And when you deliver information in the form of a story, you hit the chords that pluck the strings, that create the vibrations in your psyche that all fall into place, and you understand the entire point of the story, and thus hold on to that information forever. So tell creative stories that embody these ideas you wish to share. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you, Bashar.
Thank you.
Salam Bashar.
And good day to you.
Thank you.
Shiva.
Allah. My name is Saeed. I represent the Alien Shift Group, New
Yes.
Hope for Humanity, Bashar.
Yes.
I would like to thank you for joining us. I would like to welcome you.
We thank you for the co-creation and the opportunity to transmit in this way.
All the alien shifters, Starfleet, ground crew, and all the infinite beings who are around us in different dimensions and watching us, transmitting and receiving. We love you and we send you a good positive energy.
We thank you. Our unconditional love to you all, and our greatest message of reminding you is that you are all equal to every being in creation.
That is a very good explanation.
We are not better than you. We are just different.
can we ask you, how would you define Elohim and Allah as two religions versus Creator God or Elohim or Allah?
Elohim is the idea of a reference to a race of high-dimensional beings. Allah, or God in that sense, or all that is to us. All that is made of God. If it is truly the idea of something that is omniscient, omnipotent, then it has to be everything in order to be so. So everything is made of God. God is all that is. Thus then it is holographically structured so that every component is also all that is from a particular point of view. So each and every one of you, each and every one of us, are all the different ways that all that is has of experiencing itself.
Nicely said.
Why, thank you.
Also, may we ask you how many alien groups or ET entities in this domain with us at this time present in our dimension?
When you say present in your dimension, that could be on or off the earth. Thus then, at this particular moment, you are being interacted with by, at this moment, 17 groups. At this moment.
And how can we make this interaction faster? And
you know the answer to that already. We have already answered it several times today.
Right.
Thus then, allow yourselves to understand the importance of the simplicity of the idea. Be yourself as best as you can. Act on your highest joy every moment that you can to the best of your ability, with integrity, without expectation. Be open to working in balance between the physical and higher mind so that you can function as a whole person. Do not overtax the physical mind and give it more than it is designed to do. Let the higher mind do its job.
So the alien shift, it is in process, and we are shifting with you.
You are shifting now, shifting now, shifting now, shifting now. That was 4 different entire universal realities. Completely, utterly, and totally. Take me literally. It is not an analogy. This is a new reality. 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 This are new realities in totality.
Exactly. So nothing can stop this shift. No negative force can come in between us.
Nothing can stop shifting. The issue is any idea of alignment with negative vibrations will simply determine how you experience your shifting. It's not about the idea that the shift can be stopped. It's about the idea of what kind of shift are you going to experience based on your own chosen frequency. So whatever it is you decide to align yourself to as an idea, as a frequency, will determine how you experience the shifts you are constantly going through anyway. Now, yes, you have some degree of collective agreement. And that's why when you shift to another reality, every single moment, you can, to some degree, still experience representative versions of other people in that reality who are also agreeing to share that new shift, that new reality with you. But bit by bit, as you go through this time frame that we have called the span of 5 years, from 2010 to 2015, and 2012 being in the center, you are also heading for what we call a vibrational splitting prism. The idea is that now you can have a jumble of vibrations, but when you go through that splitting prism, all the vibrations will start to diverge. There will be a time for many years where you can still cross-connect, but as the vibrations diverge, it will be harder and harder and harder to live in a reality that you are not the vibration of. And thus then you will see that those that are not of your frequency eventually will no longer be around. You will simply no longer see them. You will wonder where they went.
Thank you. Bashar, do you see Los Angeles and Southern California being in danger of any earth changes that we should leave at this time, or it's very
There
crucial?
is the potential in the next year or two for you to experience a little bit of shaking. We wouldn't worry about it.
There is no shift into ocean or any pole shift that...
Is that the reality that you prefer?
No.
Then we will assume you will not shift to that Earth. Because that is a real Earth. The question is it yours?
We are staying here. We love this area.
Thank you.
And we love you.
And our unconditional love to you all. We will extend to you once again our deepest appreciation for this co-creation and allowing us to transmit this information to you in this way. We bid you all an extremely fond, exciting, and creative good day.
Thank you. Salam alaikum.
You have a good time? Well, thank you all for putting this together. Thank you for having us here. Thank you for being here. We'll see you. A little say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Thank you. All right. We thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. Each and every time you offer us an opportunity to interact with you, we get to experience yet that many more ways that creation has of expressing itself. We would like to begin this transmission, as we have titled it, Amplifying First Contact, with suggestions for what you can do to help accelerate, magnify, and amplify the probability of open contact between your civilization and other extraterrestrial civilizations such as our own. This requires action on your part. And if you are excited and passionate about allowing the contact that you are experiencing with us right now to transform into something more physical, so that we may together become something more than either of us individually can become, then by all means allow yourselves to begin to communicate with different organizations on your planet, with different governments on your world, to let them know that you know we exist, that you know many of us are here, and that you are asking, requesting the idea of disclosing the information that many of your governments already know about our existence in whatever manner is appropriate for your world, but that they do allow themselves to speak openly to some degree of the fact that most people on your planet know that there are extraterrestrial beings that have been with you for generations, thousands of years, that this is not really a secret, even though many people on your planet would like to keep it that way, for fear, for many negative reasons. But you, in your exploration of spirituality, in your exploration of the expansion of your consciousness, in the willingness to become more of who you truly are starting to sense that there is more than just your bodies, more than just your physical minds, and that as you stretch
your senses out, you begin to perceive that there are also other consciousnesses all around you in different dimensions who are aware of you and are open to the idea of making contact more solidly, more firmly. If you would only drop all of the assumptions, drop all of the barriers that you create with your belief systems, with any fear-based definitions, and open up to the idea of the existence of other beings more fully, then you will begin with your senses to perceive things that were previously invisible to you, because this is part of the evolution of your species, that you can begin to perceive things you did not know were around you all the time, coming and going. There is a lot of activity right here, right now, all the time, that goes unnoticed by you because your senses are operating on a frequency level that is too low to perceive these things in general. But as you open up, as you follow your passion, as you become more of yourselves, as you expand your idea of what you are as beings, you accelerate the ability of others to communicate with you, because as you become more capable of perceiving them, they will then recognize that you are recognizing them, and they will respond, all of these different beings, and they will interact with you. As you drop the veils between your reality and other realities, as you allow your mind to stretch and overlap and begin to perceive more and more of the other realities that are all right here, overlapping one another, your world will become very different. Space and time will become very flexible, very malleable, and you will be able to experience things that border on the idea of what you typically call magic. For synchronicity will expand, synchronicity will increase, and you will be able to experience exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. This will go hand in hand with more communication from beings on other levels to allow you to know that you are always being given the help that you need. You are always being given the guidance that you ask for, because it's not about asking for more than you're already being given. You are already being given all the help and all the guidance that we can possibly give. So when you ask for a sign, when you ask for assistance, when you ask for help, all you're really doing is asking to open up your own senses to be able to perceive more clearly the help that you're already receiving, because no more help can be given, because you're being given everything that we can give. So it's on your side, your end, to be able to perceive the help you're already being given more clearly. Then you will know that you have always been supported, you have always been assisted, you have never been alone. And that will accelerate the idea of living in a reality where you are truly interacting not only intergalactically, but also interspiritually. You'll begin to break down those barriers between the idea of physical and non-physical reality, and you'll begin to know that you never really lose anyone when they die, that death is just a transition into a different state, and that family is always family, and that you will be able to communicate with them much more clearly in much the same way that you communicate with each other in physical reality. As you continue to expand your senses by acting on your highest passion in life, your world will become very, very different, and you will be able to shift your experience of reality through various versions of different parallel Earths that already exist, allowing yourself to guide yourself, to steer yourself through those different versions, shifting through those different versions, more and more and more, becoming and living and experiencing versions of Earth that are already existing and already more reflective and more representative of the world that you prefer, because they will simply be a reflection of the changes you have made within yourself, within your own energy. You never change the world that you're on. You shift to another version of Earth that is already more representative of the change you have made within yourselves. So by allowing yourselves to know that it is a reality that we exist, that it is a reality that you are surrounded by beings from different dimensions, then you will begin in those actions that you take with that knowledge to bring, in a sense, heaven down to earth, to embody that energy, that state of being within yourself that knows that such things are real, that knows that you are a part of a larger community, that knows you are connected to everything you need to be connected to, and in acting from that state of being in everything that you do in life, bit by bit, at whatever rate is comfortable for you, at whatever pace is relevant for you, you will begin to perceive, as we said, more and more and more and more of the things that are around you right now that may be invisible to you at this moment. So do not be surprised, do not be shocked, do not be scared by the different things you will begin to perceive as your senses become more receptive and more sensitive to looking at different frequencies, different vibrations that are representative of other beings and other levels of reality. Do you understand what we are saying to you? All right. Does that sound exciting to you? I believe you. This is the way to amplify contact in your world. You take the actions that are relevant and representative of a state of being that knows, not believes, not thinks, not guesses, but knows that there are other beings with you, that knows that you are connected to the universe, that knows itself fully as an expression of creation. And from those actions and inspirations that come to you in that state of being, will you then accelerate and amplify contact on all levels, not only outward to the stars, but inwardly into all the levels of your own consciousness. And you will see in the reflections of your outer reality more and more of the things that are representative of that state of being, of that certainty, of that knowingness. We thank you for allowing us to transmit this idea to you this day of your time, and we remind you that this transmission is not just the words that you may be hearing. There is energy being given to you right now, frequencies, vibrations of light and electromagnetic energy that are inviting you, encouraging you to match those frequencies, to help uplift you, raise your vibration, and allow you, in doing so, to experience more of the reality in the way that we do, because we know that you can, and we know that part of you already exists on that level, that higher level. All you need to do is relax into that, and you will be carried on the currents of creation to a higher level, a higher plane, as part of your evolution. If you just do nothing but let go and be yourself, those currents will carry you exactly where, how, and when you need to be carried to find and discover more of yourself, and to let go of those things that you now know have nothing at all to do with who you prefer to be. Does that make sense? All right. Does that sound exciting? All right. We believe you. In exchange for the gift that you are giving us in allowing us to interact with you in this way, I ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions and dialogue in whatever manner you so desire.
will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. Once again, we thank you for the co-creation of this interaction, the allowance of this transmission. This day of your time, we have entitled this transmission the Interstellar Enneagram. Enneagram generally being a word in your language that represents the number 9. But this is not arranged exactly in the way that many of you are familiar with the Enneagrams that you use on your planet. This is really just a matrix of 9 squares in a square, 3 rows of 3. And they are, each box, representative of what we have talked about before, generally speaking, a permission slip, visual representation of different frequencies of energy that are representative of different civilizations. In essence, you could say, like a phone number for that particular dimensional realm, that particular civilization. A frequency that if you focus on it, meditate on it, look at it, get in alignment with that visual that is representative of that energy stream, that domain of consciousness, will aid and assist you in connecting more readily as a permission slip to that particular frequency of reality and make it a little bit easier for you to connect and align with and receive information from the representative domains that exist within this particular 9-box matrix or Enneagram. Now, as you can see, there are 9 colored boxes in the center of this diagram, generally representing on the bottom row the idea of the ancient Orion systems, the Anunnaki energy, the Gray Federation, and in the middle row, left to right, the idea of our civilization of Essassani, or in our upgraded state, Shakani. The middle box is representative of you, Earth. The idea on the right-hand side will be the representational symbol for the Yael, or in our ancient language, the Shalanaya. On the top row, you will see the representation of the diagram, the symbol for the vibration of the Sirius star system. In the center, the Arcturus vibration. And on the right, the Pleiadian systems. Now, you will also notice that there are some open boxes around the edges that contain different words. Now, for those of you who may be joining us in zero gravity with no particular orientation, the word hypersapien should be at the top, just in case you were wondering. We will get to describing exactly what those mean in another part of this transmission, but for now, again, the labeling of the box, the open box at the bottom, underneath the matrix of 9 says proto-sapien. At the top it says hyper-sapien. To the left it says reptilian. And to the right it is the new hybrids. Now that you have this basic diagram, this basic Enneagram, we will now take you through a little bit of the vibrational history and relationship of each, one at a time on the bottom row, to your world and how you share their vibration, how you share their history, what is relevant for you to understand at this time. Tomorrow of your time in that transmission, we will deal with the middle row, and on your Sunday transmission, we will deal with the top row, and also the open boxes that surround them, to give you a more complete picture of the vibrational relationships that you have ongoing on a variety of levels with these civilizations and dimensions of consciousness. So, let us begin. We will actually, on the bottom row, begin in the center with the symbol for the Anunnaki, which is represented by a winged circle that contains the colors of gold and red and blue against a black backdrop. Now, you will notice, of course, first of all, that the wings are not contained within the box. We wanted to represent the entire symbol to you. And so, because the diagrams for Orion and the Gray Federation to the left and the right were relatively simple 3-bar symbols, we simply allowed the wings to overlap each, understanding that this is an overlap. The wings are not part of the left and right diagrams. They simply rest on top for convenience of visualization. Now, the idea of the Anunnaki symbol, representative of this golden flying disc that has at its heart a red dot which represents the life within, and around the gold disc the idea of a blue energy field. This is actually to some degree representative of the ancient ships that used to visit your planet from the Anunnaki, and is representative of the symbols that you still see in many of the cultures on your planet, the flying disc. Represented in many different ways, of course. Not a literal representation of their ships, but close enough, in the sense that the ships were basically disc-like in the center and did possess a certain type of wings and steering mechanisms as they glided through your atmosphere, even though they didn't necessarily require them. In space, they were capable of retracting and folding in a way that allowed the ships to be more streamlined when these appendages were unnecessary in the vacuum of space. But once they entered your atmosphere, they did look like flying discs in a variety of ways. So they could steer through your atmosphere and use the gravitational fields by extending these wings to guide them and land them safely upon your planet. As many of you already understand, the Anunnaki are the extraterrestrial civilization generally responsible for the alteration of your genetic structure from what you would call the natural hominid that existed on your planet, called Homo erectus, to the idea of now what you call yourselves to be Homo sapien. In altering the genetic structure by including some of the Anunnaki DNA, they allowed you to create or exist in its present form, the human being, as you call yourselves, so that they would have a relationship to the Anunnaki, to be utilized in a variety of ways in that relationship, as workers, as companions, in a variety of ways, for their purposes of visiting your world, which fundamentally was to aid and assist them in mining minerals, gold in particular, that would allow them to alter the weather patterns of their own planet and make adjustments in that way to their energy fields. Now, the group of Anunnaki that actually visited your world, that was originally consigned to find those minerals and bring them back to the home world, were actually, to begin with, assigned to simply do this task themselves. Eventually, they found that this was something that was relatively difficult for them to do on their own, and so they believed they needed what you would call a workforce in order to aid and assist them. And knowing that there was a natural indigenous being upon the planet that was similar in form to them, they understood that they could genetically alter it to aid and assist them in this way by upgrading it, so to speak, to something more similar to their own form, and thus, by creating that force, allow that force to work in the mines to extract the gold and other minerals that they require, eventually also developing a long-term relationship with them in a variety of ways, even to the point of companionship many, many years after that. Now, this began somewhere around 500,000 of your years ago in the general areas that you call the Middle East and the African continent. And those branches of the hominid species that were not altered genetically by the Anunnaki evolved on their own in parallel to the human beings on your planet that the Anunnaki had created. And those that were not altered eventually evolved into the form you now call Sasquatch. So the idea is that if you had not been altered at all, today you would all be Sasquatch. But because you were altered, because you were evolved in that way, you became human beings. This also allowed for certain kinds of incarnational experiences to happen that would be very different than the incarnational experiences of Sasquatch, or Yeti, or Bigfoot, or whatever you wish to call that branch of your cousins. Now, they evolved in a very natural way, which allowed them to have a much closer connection in many ways to the idea of nature, and allowed them to develop abilities and skills that you do contain, but in a sense have forgotten that you have because of the alteration. Their abilities and skills as Sasquatch allow them to actually enter interdimensional states, passing from parallel reality to parallel reality, different dimensions to different dimensions, which is why they are so difficult to find on your planet when they don't want to be found. Nevertheless, getting back to your story, the branch that you became Eventually, there were also interminglings between some of the humans of the time and the Anunnaki on the world. And these created births, natural births of beings that you have in your legends come to call the so-called demigods and so forth. Now, the Anunnaki were much taller in general than you are. And some of the earlier races on your planet of humanity were also much taller than most of you, although you are regaining not only your height again, but also your longevity, because in times past, a lot of the genes were passed along to the human beings that were genetically created that allowed them to live for hundreds of years, because the Anunnaki lived for thousands of years. The idea is that you are regaining this ability again. The genetic material is being opened up again because of new vibrations that are now existing in this present day on your planet, allowing you more longevity, allowing you greater height, greater health, greater vitality. And you are opening up those connections energetically to the Anunnaki and those genetic materials that you contain. Now, of course, the Anunnaki themselves also contained a mixture of different genetics from different races. We will not get into that so much right now, although you can certainly understand, we will give you a little bit of a sneak preview, that one of these was what is called on that diagram the Proto-Sapiens. We will get into them another time. But you could say that in general, the Proto-Sapiens are the precursors of all the human forms in your galaxy. Now, the Anunnaki, the branch that was on your planet and creating the idea of the Homo sapien groupings, were actually just a branch. And in their original assignment, were not really supposed to tinker with the genetics of the planet. When the main council of Anunnaki discovered that they had done so and created a new intelligent race of beings, well, let's just say they weren't very happy about it. They actually recalled that Anunnaki contingent from the Earth and in many ways left you to your own devices, allowing you to grow on your own, to evolve on your own with some degree of guidance from them, because they felt responsible in allowing that contingent of Anunnaki to create you. They felt responsible to guide you to some degree, although it was not the original plan. And so again, the stories of visitations over time, again from the idea of angels and gods from the sky, leading and guiding and teaching in a variety of ways to allow you to grow into your own civilization and allow you to take over some of the cities that had been created and become the actual kings of old, although the Anunnaki bloodline still coursed strongly in their veins. You see this in the representation of the ancient 10 kings of Atlantis, in Lemurian times, and even into relative modern times, as you still remember Egypt as having kings, and then eventually the idea of pharaohs. But all this goes back to the concept of the blue bloods, the royal lines, and everything that created the concept of royalty on your planet, because it is traced all the way back to the idea of the Anunnaki, who actually were slightly bluishly tinged. So the blue blood line was looked upon as the purest line in that way, although of course you all contain Anunnaki genetics. But there might be here and there some that are more directly related in direct lineages to some of those ancient genes. Now, once that began to happen, and you had on your planet contingents of humans who were creating their own civilizations, mostly guiding themselves with a little bit of input here and there from extraterrestrial beings and extra-dimensional beings, teaching them how to open up their consciousness to tap into source, to draw down and download information from a variety of sources, then eventually humanity was pretty much left on its own in that way to evolve to a certain point to see if they would arrive at a point where they could then reconnect with the idea of extraterrestrial beings, extra-dimensional beings, which would show that they evolved to a point where the next stage of evolution could occur. We will leave that story for the moment and shift over to the idea of the ancient Orion systems and how they come into play in your reality. This story begins also long ago, in fact, actually millions of your years ago, in the ancient systems of Orion. There was in that system a society under great suppression, great oppression, great negativity, great hardship, great difficulty. In particular, on one of the worlds of the Orion systems that in the ancient language was called Huva. Huva, in that sense, was the central seat of the Orion government, which again was very oppressive. You can see the representation of the idea, the symbol of the vibration, of transformation that over time took place in the Orion systems by looking at the 3-bar banner on the lower left that is represented at the bottom by a black bar, in the middle by a red bar, and at the top by a white bar, showing that the transformation from negative to positive has occurred in the Orion systems, but it occurred through the middle bar of red, through the experiences of life, through the pain and difficulty and suffering of the beings in that time, through the blood of the people. Now, this story of the Orion systems took a long time to work itself through. There were resistances, what you would call underground movements, in the Orion systems, fighting against the suppression, fighting against the oppression, fighting against the negativity. The translation of those resistance fighters in your language would be the Black League. The Black League took their name as the idea of being invisible, being in the dark, being hidden, being surreptitious, so they could fight the fight they believed they had to fight against the oppressive governments of the ancient Orion systems. However, one of the very great lessons they learned in that time was the idea that if you fight fire with fire, you just get more fire. And the idea of using the same violent tactics against the government that the government was using against them did not really work out very well for that resistance movement, and it created an increase in the suppression and an increase in the negativity, and thus they learned that there must be another way. And in learning that there must be another way, they began to approach the idea of the negativity with positive energy, positive vibrations, and over time slowly transformed the Orion systems from darkness into light, from negative into positive, through their sacrifice, through their pain, through their blood. But the idea is that many of the ancient Orions also made a connection to the idea of wanting to work this out on many different levels interdimensionally, and so created for themselves incarnational connections to other star systems that had the vibrational energy that would allow them to go through a process of transmuting this negative energy into positive energy. One of those systems was your solar system. Now, this again was millions of years ago. But some of the first incarnations of ancient Orion energy occurred on a planet that is now what you call your asteroid belt. It no longer exists as a planet. And it was known by many names, but we will choose the idea of Maldek to represent it. Many incarnations were played out there. Much of the ancient Orion negativity was played out there, and eventually the vibration of that negativity was too much to handle and created circumstances and situations that ultimately destroyed the planet through collisions with other planetary bodies in the system when it was young. The incarnations then moved to the next habitable planet, which you now call Mars. At the time it was inhabited. Again, the ancient Orion systems worked themselves out to some degree, but there was still a lot of negativity to be worked out, as this process took eons and eons to go through. When Mars also attracted to itself the idea of a negative experience of destruction through the bombardment of asteroids that ripped away its atmosphere and turned it into the relatively desolate planet that you now understand Mars to be, then the incarnation shifted about 6,000 of your years ago to the Earth plane. Now, this does not mean that the destruction that took place on Mars happened 6,000 years ago. There was a lot of interim time in which, in other dimensions, the Orion energy was playing itself out and going through different processes until it was ready to come into the Earth vibration. The idea of the introduction of the ancient Orion energies and that process of going from the negative to the positive began to play itself out upon its arrival in the area on your planet you call the Middle East. And in this way, it introduced a lot of that ancient negative energy that has still to play itself out on your planet, although it is transforming in this day and age. But as you can see by the banner of the Orion ancient systems, of the red and the black and the white, you will see this throughout your history in oppressive societies, especially what you would call the Nazis. In that was their colors as well. So you will recognize that this ancient negative Orion energy is playing itself out in a variety of ways through many of the things that are going on now on your planet with respect to terrorism, with respect to warfare, with respect to all these kinds of energies that are now getting themselves out on the table, out in front of all your faces, so you can finally decide if you are truly done with this process and transmute all this negativity in a positive way into light, without the idea of having to go through the suffering, the strife, the struggle, and the pain, and the shedding of the blood that is represented by the red band in this system. You have arrived now at this point, and in recent times, where the vibrational energy allowed you to be ripe, shall we say, to interconnect with what we are loosely calling the Gray Federation, which is represented by the banner on the lower right, in the three stripes of black, gray, and white. Now, as we have told the story, in general, the gray beings are a number of different things. They are an amalgamation, a federation of a number of different things. They're not really all lumped into one thing, although there are connections, which is why we are utilizing the term federation to represent the connections between the different factions of beings that you might recognize in general as grays and all the different varieties in which they come. However, do understand that, as we have already laid out for you, the grays are not really alien beings. Most of them, the ones that you are dealing with on your planet, are a race of mutated humans from a parallel Earth that destroyed itself. Once they had created a very high level of technology on that parallel version of Earth, much, much higher, much far beyond where your technology is now. But because they were so focused on the idea of technology and intellectuality, eventually they sacrificed the concepts of emotionality and looked upon this as an inferior state of being. They began to become very disconnected from nature, began to focus on these ideas in a variety of ways that allowed them to let their planet, in a sense, go to seed. They no longer really took care of the nature. They allowed themselves to strip mine, allowed themselves to deforest, allowed themselves to change the climate in such a way, all in the name of their technology, so that they ultimately looked up and realized that their planet was fast becoming uninhabitable to such a degree that even their technology could now no longer really do anything about it. And at this point, they had also taken themselves so far, altered themselves in such drastic ways in terms of their genetics, their technology, their biology, that they really were almost part human and part machine, and thus could no longer relate to the idea of nature in a variety of ways, but realized that what they had done was going to create a situation where their race would completely eventually die out. They no longer had the ability to reproduce. And so they realized that in order to perpetuate their species, they began experimenting with a number of things. First, because their environment was becoming less and less and less habitable, they moved themselves into underground cities. And in those underground cities, they experimented with their genetics and began to clone themselves over and over and over again, eventually, of course, realizing that this was a dead end. They, even with their technology, could not replicate the original human DNA. They knew they needed viable, vibrant, natural, original human DNA to introduce it back into their genetic structure if they were going to have any chance at all of perpetuating their culture. And so they realized that the only way to extract that would be to use their technology to tunnel into parallel realities where they knew humans must still exist, such as yours, and find the DNA that they require to create a hybrid race, one civilization of which we are, to allow their culture to perpetuate itself. So this they did, and created many different hybrid civilizations, which we will get into again tomorrow of your time. Nevertheless, in expanding into parallel realities as these mutated humans you now call the Greys, they eventually created a variety of different versions of themselves and also encountered in those parallel realities different varieties and different versions of themselves, including one that was actually native to the star system you recognize as Zeta Reticuli. By making, in a sense, a relationship with the beings there, they created something, they formed a relationship and an agreement with something that they desperately needed, which was a different kind of guidance, on a different kind of level, beyond just intellectuality, on a level that could see into different dimensions, could really help them plan out the idea of how to create these hybrid civilizations, who could oversee such a vast project that would take eons of time to manifest. Once they encountered these beings in the Zeta Reticuli system, they formed and developed a relationship with them to allow them to become the overseers of all of this plan, all of this agenda. And in allowing those overseers to participate in that hybridization agenda that would perpetuate their species, in some ways, they actually started deferring to them and allowed them to really become the primary organizers of their civilization. These overseers are what many of you in the abduction phenomenology have come to recognize as the insect-like mantis beings that are very tall. They became part, in that sense, of the Grey Federation as the overseers. Now, upon recognizing that many of the parallel reality versions of Earth that the Greys had tunneled into were also going down similar vibrational paths to the path they had taken that destroyed their world and prevented them from being able to reproduce, prevented them from having emotionality, they recognized that by creating these hybrid beings such as ourselves, they can also give back a gift to those parallel worlds by allowing these hybrid beings to stave off the same fate, the same experience that many of the parallel versions of Earth were also going down, so that they would not have to experience the same degree of limitation that the Greys experienced on their world. And so this is one of the reasons why we are sharing information with you this day of your time, and for the past 30 years, and in a variety of ways, to allow you to understand that you don't have to take the same negative path, that you can change your destiny, that you can awaken to your understanding of consciousness in such a way that you can create a reality for yourself that is quite different than the reality path that they took. Does all this make some sense to you? Yes. All right. This will be the history for now that we will share of the bottom row of the Enneagram. And as we, in the forthcoming transmissions this weekend of your time, include the other levels, we will also magnify and enhance what we have already said here as it relates to the idea of the Earth. Notice that in the center, the symbol, the vibrational telephone number, if you will, of your planet starts with a black square. Then there is a square within that that is tilted 45 degrees, that is blue. Then a square within that that is again straight, that is green, and then a square within that that is smaller, again tilted 45 degrees, that is white. This, of course, represents the space around your planet. The blue is the water, the green is the land, the white is the air, the atmosphere, and the clouds of your world. The square represents what you typically refer to as the four corners of your world, and it allows you the opportunity to connect to these other diagrams, these other symbols in the Enneagram in a way where you can draw upon their energy, draw upon their information in the way that serves you best, in the way that is representative of the transformations you're making in your life at this time. And again, by focusing on these vibrational symbols as telephone numbers and linking and connecting and aligning with the vibrations of their particular dimensions, you can take advantage of downloading information and energy to yourself that will aid and assist you in centering your being in such a way that you can use all of this, use all these frequencies, use all these dimensions, use all these genetic connections, use all these relationships to guide yourself unerringly, straight and true, like a compass needle, to your best destiny. We will continue with this Enneagram transmission and expand upon this history in tomorrow's transmission. But for now, in return for the gift you are giving us and allowing us to experience you at this time and share with you in a family way, I ask, in what way may we now be of service to you with your questions?